on, Tuesdays are going to be the Raw Truth Tuesdays, where we go back and we're going to discuss Monday Night Raw along with the news that's happening. But I want to take Tuesdays to really break down, because right now Monday Night Raw is struggling just a little bit. And it's struggling, but I think I know what Monday Night Raw has been missing. And I can tell you exactly what Monday Night Raw has been missing, and that is the KO effect. You insert Kevin Owens into the beginning of Monday Night Raw, and immediately I'm paying attention again. See, the problem is, after I'm paying attention, it all goes back downhill. I'm being super critical. But the problem is, after Kevin Owens, the show went downhill. Raw was a slope this week that ran from an amazing opening segment, and it sloped down and it ran right into the most confusing main event I might have ever seen on a Monday Night Raw. Now, let's be honest. There were parts of the show that were actually pretty good. What did those all involve? SmackDown stars. Here we go. I'm telling you guys, right now, Triple H does not know what to do with Monday Night Raw. He is a bull in a china shop. I think he is throwing these shows together in hopes of just getting to Survivor Series. Because the best parts of Monday Night Raw this week were parts that either featured Kevin Owens, the Brawling Brutes, or Drew McIntyre. Convince me otherwise. I don't see it. It really... This was a weird go-home show, because this is a go-home show. This is the show that is supposed to sell me on the idea that I need to go watch Survivor Series, that I need to invest 3 hours on a Saturday to sit down and watch Survivor Series War Games. And it really didn't do that for me. All it really did was re-emphasize to me this idea that Monday Night Raw is just way too long, and that Triple H is hell-bent on listening to whatever WWE's version of the IWC is, whatever we want to call them. I've seen them referred to as like E-drones. Let's call them E-drones. Whatever the E-drones are yelling on the internet, it feels like Triple H at this point is very dialed and tuned into what they're saying. And I don't think that's working. I think Triple H is ignoring the fact that his audience is a casual wrestling audience. I think Triple H has a little bit of AEW envy, more than Vince McMahon ever had. I think Triple H looks over and goes, you know, he did it in NXT with a lot of those indie guys, and I think he looks at AEW and he sees a lot of wrestling, and I think he thinks, I've got to appease the Twitter crowd. I've got to appease the E-drones. I've got to appease the IWC. Because for the second week in a row, guys, the crowd was lifeless. That arena was dead, man. And here's the problem. Triple H is not connecting with his casual audience right now. It's just, I don't know what the problem is, but the wires are not connecting. On paper, all of the booking that Triple H is doing looks like it should make sense. It should all work for a casual audience, but the execution has been worse than poor, just to say the least. It's been worse than poor. These long-ass matches that Triple H are booking, they're not connecting with casual fans. These long-ass matches and these weird segments, they're not connecting, and they're killing the energy in the stadiums. We had a hot start. I think the crowd was ready. I think the crowd came in hot. They were ready to go. You got the Brawling Brutes. You got Kevin Owens. You got Drew McIntyre. You got the Judgment Day. I think everybody was ready to go. But even when you compare the two factions from Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, there's a glaring difference, right? There's a sheer difference in the way the crowd responds to the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre and the way they respond to the Judgment Day. And that's all comes down to booking, right? Because right now, like, I swear to God, the Judgment Day look like a group of 8th graders on Halloween running around smashing pumpkins. Like, Dominic Mysterio has become Dennis the Menace. He's running around, prankster, running off, cheap shotting. It's like this weird attempt to become Eddie Guerrero, except that it's not coming off like Eddie Guerrero, and the crowd isn't responding. The crowd is still booing Dominic Mysterio, but not nearly the way they were when he kind of initially started talking through Judgment Day, and that's because it was go away heat, and now they just want him to go away. And this is all booking problems on Monday Night Raw because it's poor booking. But after that hot opening, which, like I said, featured a lot of SmackDown talent, It was very reliant on SmackDown talent to get the crowd going. And after that opening, crickets, man. The crowd had zero interest. The crowd had zero interest in seeing Johnny Wrestling lose to Omos. What are we doing? Why are we... that to me, then you go opposite of the E-Drones here, Triple H, and you just go, nobody wants this. Nobody wants to see Omos beat Johnny Wrestling. Omos is okay if we're going to put him in a giant role, and fight other giants or squash people. But now all of a sudden he's gone from squashing like 5 enhancement talent to coming out and beating up on Johnny Wrestling. What a waste of Johnny Wrestling. Like, what a literal waste of Johnny Wrestling. And this whole Miz and Dexter Lumis story is completely crap. And they're just laying into it. WWE's just laying into this. And you guys know I'm a WWE guy. I don't want to be negative, but I feel that negativity rising back up inside of me when I watch Monday Night Raw. And as a casual fan, it confuses me. I don't get it. Why are we laying into this stuff? It's not working. The Dexter Lumis and Miz stuff isn't working. Let's get out of this. We've got Johnny Wrestling tied up in this. Let's get out of this. It's just these long matches. The casual wrestling fans have a short attention span. And your audience is casual. Don't get it twisted, Triple H. Your audience is, have you ever gone to a WWE event? Has Triple H looked into the crowd? You don't have the IWC audience that AEW has. AEW, when you go to an AEW show, it looks like every person there literally came out of the basement of their mother's house. That's what it looks like. When you go to a WWE show, you see moms, you see dads, you see grandmas, you see business people, you see kids. It is a huge mix. When I watched Full Gear and I looked at the crowd and I scanned it, it's like 95% sausage fest. That's what it is. When you look at a WWE crowd, you see women, you see men, you see grandmas, you see everybody. But Triple H is laying into this idea that we need these long matches, right? And the casual fans, our attention span is just not long enough. I get it, man. I get it, H. The IWC can watch a 30-minute match. Iron Man, Bryan Danielson, 10 falls, an hour long. Whatever they call it, right? And it can have flips and technicality, and they can appreciate the nuances. That's not WWE. That's not what we're here for. That's not what we're into. Casual fans want to see Otis do the worm. Like, that's just a couple weeks ago, you brought Otis out on Halloween. Like Chris Farley, you let him just steal the fucking show. Go off, do the worm, do all this cool stuff. And then what do? You go pigeonhole him right back into the Alpha Academy gimmick, and we just continue to do the same thing over and over. Who are we appeasing, right? The casual fans don't understand why Triple H is burying Mustafa Ali week in and week out. And I had somebody from the WWE E-Drone kind of fan base come at me and tell me, well, Mustafa's not being buried, guy. He's actually being put over because they're just letting him get close to overcoming all of these big names. Really? Because all I see week in and week out is Mustafa Ali being ragdolled by Bobby Lashley. Thrown into the video wall, thrown into boxes in the back, going over to SmackDown and getting beaten by Ricochet. You're going to have to help me with how WWE's putting over Mustafa Ali, somebody that I think casual fans could actually get behind. And let's not talk about how the WWE has literally neutered Seth Rollins by making him a pure babyface, which is what they've done. They've laid in Seth Rollins as a babyface, guys. And it's neutered his ability to do what he does best. Seth Rollins was the perfect Riddler-style villain in WWE. He was the bad guy that we love to love. Now, Seth Rollins has to skirt this line and watch how he approaches the heels and protect the heels in his feuds. Someone explain to me how that benefits fans. Someone explain to me how they're going to book themselves out of this triple threat match that they booked with Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory, because all three guys cannot come out of that match unscathed. Somebody is taking the L, and somebody's coming out of that with a couple of scars. So who's it going to be? Is it going to be Seth Rollins? Are we turning on Seth already? That doesn't seem like a good idea. He's probably your biggest asset on Monday Night Raw. Are we flip-flopping on Theory like I said they are going to? I don't think they're 100% behind Theory. There's a chance that they flip-flop on Theory. Or is it Bobby Lashley? Or have they just run out of ideas for Bobby Lashley? And if Brock Lesnar's not there, then he takes the L. Who takes the pin in that match? Like, really, who takes the pin in that triple threat match? One person is going to have to take the pin. And I have no clue. Somebody's coming out on the wrong side of that match. And in a time for me, after watching AEW Full Gear, in a time for me where AEW is literally laying into, like, they're laying all their cards into the master of the mic, MJF. It seems like WWF would really want to use Seth correctly and allow him to continue to cut high-level, intelligent heel promos. But now we have, Seth Willy Wonka Rollins. It's not Seth freaking Rollins anymore. We have Seth Willy Wonka Rollins, the baby face with the crazy hair and the crazy suits, who's neutered and isn't allowed to say bad things. That's not going to get over with casual fans. I don't know what you're doing. And it's all to appease people who didn't like Austin Theory, because that's what it is, right? You made these corrections to Austin Theory's character, and now you've got to live with them. And I get it, right? I'm on a rant today. I'm on one today. I understand. And I know everybody's just going to jump back into this train of thought, oh, Notorious Nerdy D just hates everything. I don't. Truth is, I love SmackDown. I look forward to Friday nights. It's the highlight of my wrestling week is Friday nights. But right now, I'm thinking after watching Full Gear, Wednesdays are looking a lot more appealing as a secondary form of watching wrestling, because Raw is just a hot mess right now. Just messy. Things don't make sense to me, and I like things to make sense. I like my wrestling to make sense. I don't need to look real deep into it. It has to fit in a pretty little casual wrestling box for me, or I get bored and I don't love it. Like, why? Somebody tell me why Elias isn't doing more Elias type things. Like, why is he not having concerts anymore? You have this character that you literally pulled Ezekiel. You pulled Ezekiel off TV when he had a hot thing going with Kevin Owens. That thing was fucking blowing up, but you pulled it out and you repackaged him back into Elias. Why? So he could put jeans on? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. He's not doing Elias things. So it doesn't make sense to me. And so now Riddle, once again, a guy who was, 3 or 4 months ago, was on fire, was literally on fire. Like, do you guys remember? Can you guys honestly remember the match he had with Roman Reigns on SmackDown, where him and Roman went one-on-one, and it was a fucking slugfest, and people loved it, and the crowd was so into it. And now, you know where Rollins is? He's back in tag team purgatory. Because right now, being in a tag team is basically the worst place you can be in WWE until those belts come off of the Usos. Because you're just in a tag team to be in a tag team. How many times, someone answer this for me. How many times has Riddle faced the Alpha Academy this year? It feels like every week. Just change out his partner. How many times has he fought Chad Gable? How many times has he fought Otis? How many competitions or spelling bees or scooter races has he been in with the Alpha Academy? The last half a year, besides the time he spent with Seth Rollins, I think he's been in some form or feud with the Alpha Academy. And it's insane. So what? We're just replacing Randy Orton with Elias? And like, we're not supposed to notice? Where is the personality in Monday Night Raw? Because I can't find it. Like, it is, to me, when you look at, if you just picked up a piece of paper as a wrestling fan and you just looked at the matches that happened tonight, you'd go, it's not a bad card. Like, there were some good matches, but all of these matches are lacking personality. Something is missing from Monday Night Raw. How many main events on Monday Night Raw are going to end with Bianca Belair standing ringside? Someone help me, because I'm a Bianca Belair fan, but like, the way they are booking Bianca is doing zero favors for her career. Every week we're getting some form of Asuka, Alexa, or Damage Control ending the show in the ring in a match that's not bad, but it's not the main event. And so if my fear is Raw is just mid-card heaven right now. That's what it is. Someone needs to step up and take the main event slot by the balls. They need to grab whatever that proverbial brass ring is. Someone needs to grab that son of a bitch. Because I thought we were going to start treating the U.S. title like it was a big deal. But instead, it's just part of goofy backstage interviews in hour number 2. It's not getting love. It doesn't look like a world title. You fooled us, Triple H. You made us think that possibly we were getting something awesome, that we were elevating that title. But it's like you lost attention and you just went back to, we could end the show this way. That was a horrendous ending to me to a go-home Monday Night Raw. I don't know that it could have been any worse. And I'm telling you, that show was just a slope downward. Started off hot. I thought, oh shit, they fixed it. They fixed it. I was wrong. Everything I said last week, everything I've said about Triple H, I was wrong. And it was just a slope that just ran downhill until it crashed into the main event. And so that leads us into our second story today, or the second thing I'm going to talk about. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a spoiler. So I'm not going to change the slide yet. I'm going to give everybody the opportunity. If you don't want a spoiler going into Survivor Series War Games, right now, skip ahead. Don't look at this. All right, I gave you enough time. Let's talk about it.